Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Forensic Focus. I am your host, Charles Amodio with FAZ Forensics. At FAZ Forensics, we specialize in forensic accounting and business valuation. When answers matter, FAZ delivers. Today, I'm here with my colleague, Emma French. I got that right. I didn't mess that up. Emma, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Obviously, you recently been married and changed your last
Yes.
name, so I want to make sure I got that
Yep.
correct.
Yep. I still have the same problem. Sometimes people ask me my name and I'm like, Emma Patterson, French, whatever comes out.
So it's been what, a couple of months now?
Yep. Almost 2 months.
Wow.
So
Exciting.
yeah, time
Exciting.
flies.
Yeah, yeah. And how was your honeymoon?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. We went to Sicily for a little over a week. So beautiful weather. It was like 85, 90 degrees every day, kind of a dry heat. So, and I mean, the food was amazing. So can't
Absolutely.
complain. It was
Good.
great.
Good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So Emma, tell
Yeah.
me,
Thanks.
tell me, tell me about a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I work in the business valuation department. So we do business valuations for privately held companies, usually on the smaller size. We do a lot of divorce work, M&A work, tax and compliance work, some shareholder disputes, but I would say the majority of our work is in the divorce space.
So tell me about that a little bit. How does that work?
Yeah, so when divorces are happening, usually an attorney will contact us if there's a business involved. If one of the parties owns a business, then they need to have it valued to be separated in their marital estate. So we come in and we just do the business. So if there's property included in the business, we don't value the property. We just do the business operations. So oftentimes another expert will come in to value the property. Um, but yeah, so we'll just be hired to just focus on the business.
Okay. Okay. So obviously you're on one side as opposed to the other. Or is there ever a time where you guys work on both the both parties?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say oftentimes we are hired by one of the sides, but once in a while we're hired jointly by both attorneys. Usually husband and wife will both get a business valuation done. So sometimes, depending on the matter, sometimes they decide that they can just do it jointly, have one company like FAZ come in and value the company, and hopefully are both okay with the value at the end. Obviously, we're completely independent, so we're just coming in to value the business. Sometimes one of the parties isn't happy with the value that we come out with, and then it turns into a them getting other experts and kind of going from there. But we are sometimes hired jointly, depending on the matter.
Okay. Okay. Now, how about in shareholder disputes? How does that work?
Very similar to a divorce. Sometimes the parties will come to us directly, but oftentimes they're both represented by separate attorneys. Same thing with the divorce. We can either be hired by one side or hired jointly, and it's operated very similarly to a divorce as well, because it's really a divorce between two partners.
So it's a business divorce as opposed to a personal divorce, right?
Right,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
So operates
Okay.
very similarly to that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And in addition to the valuation work, what kind of other work do you get involved in these valuations?
Yeah, I would say the most common work that we get involved in, aside from the business valuation, is income analyses. So we do a lot of calculations for alimony and child support purposes. Sometimes people will go in to modify their child support or their alimony. So sometimes we'll get hired for that as well.
Okay. Okay. And how about other types of cases that you get involved in, or other types of work you get involved with?
I mean, I don't know. We we don't really do much else work.
Okay. Okay.
Charlie.
That's okay. That's all right. So, what was I going to say? Well, how about industries? Like, what kind of, like, I guess when you're doing valuations, what types of industries have you worked on?
Yeah, so we really don't focus on any specific industries. I would say we do a lot of work with cannabis companies and a lot of work recently with dentists. But we don't necessarily specialize in those two industries. I think valuation can really cover a lot of different industries. No matter what business you're valuing, you really need to understand how the business operates, how they make money, where their biggest expenses are, et cetera. So valuation can really be applied to any industry. I would just say those are two of our most common industries that we look at recently.
Okay. And when you say the cannabis industry, and I know there's like different, parts of the cannabis industry. Obviously, there's the
Absolutely.
retail, yeah, there's the retail end and there's the growers and things like that. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we've done almost probably all the different parts of cannabis companies. Some companies even own places in different states, and the regulations are different in each state. So some states only allow manufacturers rather than distributors or things like that. So we've valued cannabis companies all over the Northeast, some in California, other states in the country. So yeah, it's always different to value a cannabis company, obviously, because they're taxed on their gross profit too. So it's a little bit different. And then obviously understanding whether it's a distribution facility or a manufacturer or just a wholesale area. Understanding like the different types of cannabis distribution facilities and stuff.
Okay. Okay. And you mentioned dental practices and stuff like that. And so anything special about dental practices when it comes to valuation? Anything that we should know about?
Yeah, dental practices are a bit interesting. A lot of service-based industries, you do have to be aware of goodwill, personal goodwill versus enterprise goodwill. So making sure that if you're valuing a dentist company, that analyzing whether they have personal goodwill or not is really important. And that's basically understanding whether if the dentist were to leave that facility, would his customers come with him? Like what is the draw to that dentist? Is it the dentist itself? Is it the location? Is it the brand? And so if it's personal goodwill, really it would be the individual dentist rather than anything else.
Okay. Okay. How about other types of industries that you've worked on valuations for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've done a lot of different industries. Sometimes we do construction industries, wealth management companies. Really, there's a broad range of industries that we've worked with. Um,
Okay.
I don't think I would say there are limited industries that we would say, no, we're not valuing this, we're not giving you our input on this.
Okay. Okay. What are some of the challenges that you face when you're involved in a valuation?
Far as just understanding the industry inside and out, and sometimes it's obviously not at our fingertips to just know everything about an industry right away. So just making sure that I research each industry, research each company, the business owners, everything as much as I can to really understand the company. Obviously, that's takes a lot of work, but it's really important for the fundamentals of the valuation.
Okay. Okay. How about, one of the things I always hear about is like normalizing adjustments and things like that. Um, Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so there are a few different types of normalization adjustments. Discretionary adjustments are probably the most common. So if a company maybe they buy their employees lunch or breakfast every single day, and that's kind of like one of their perks of the job. And if that's your business, and I was to come in and say, Charlie, I want to buy your business, and maybe I want to come in and I don't want to buy the employees lunch or breakfast every single day. That's a discretionary expense. So you're spending company money to pay for those meals, but when I come in, I might not do that. So I would have more income at the end of the day, at the end of the year, than you may if you're buying all those meals. So we come in and we normalize the earnings for things like that, discretionary items, non-operating items, which are really don't contribute to the operations of the business. So sometimes if I had a business and I had a personal vehicle, the mileage on that is kind of discretionary and non-operating. The personal miles on my car don't have anything to do with the business. They're not increasing the sales of my company, things like that. So we kind of wipe out those expenses, or sometimes it's income as well. Um, and then gap adjustments and non-recurring adjustments. So things like in 2020, 2021, it was common to see PPP loan forgiveness. That's a non-recurring adjustment. Hopefully, hopefully we don't encounter something like that again. But it is like it's non-recurring income. We're not expecting to receive it again. So that's something that we would eliminate from a company's profit and loss statement and in the normalization adjustments, so that we really are looking at like a holistic view of the company and what the value might be to an outside investor or someone that could come in and buy your company, not just the value to this business owner and what they're doing with the company.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
How about like owner, and I know that kind of goes in like with owner compensation and things like that. How about like adjustments to
Yeah.
owner compensation or normal compensation, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be kind of considered a discretionary adjustment, like I was just explaining. So the rent and the owner's compensation kind of are in the same realm where owner's compensation will be adjusted. So if an owner, say it's a solely owned company and they pay themselves far more than maybe they should, then we'll adjust it and we'll say, okay, you're paying yourself 400,000, but market salaries for your job position is really around 200, and so we'll adjust the normalized earnings. We'll adjust the EBITDA to reflect that in each year.
Okay.
Um, Same thing with rental expenses. So back to the whole, if the property is owned within the business, if the property is owned within an external business, an affiliated entity, sometimes the business will pay the affiliated entity rent that maybe just covers their payments, their interest payments on their loans, their taxes, etc. But maybe that's not fair market value rent. So if I was to go
Okay.
in and buy that business, I maybe wouldn't get the property with it. They would still charge me fair market value rent rather than whatever it is that they can break even. So we would adjust the rental expenses to reflect a fair market value rental expense.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. That sounds good. What are you
Yeah,
reading right now?
nothing.
Nothing, nothing to read in your spare time?
No, I haven't had much spare time lately. I've been we've been working on the house, so I haven't read as much as I should.
It's all right. It's all right. You're
Yeah.
busy fixing up your house. How is that
Yeah.
going?
Good. We just painted the entire first floor of the house and changed all the electrical, like the lights and the light switches and all that stuff. So it's the little things that um, make a big difference.
They
But it
take
was fun
time
to
for
do.
they take time for sure.
Yeah. But Logan's learned how to do all of the electrical work. So we've only shorted one outlet. I thought that was a big win to only have
Okay.
shorted one thing. So
I tell you, with YouTube these days, you could pretty much do anything,
yeah.
Um, I never thought in a million years I would be able to change a sump pump, and I did that a couple of years ago in
Yeah.
my house.
Wow.
I actually I installed like a backup battery for that sump pump recently.
Wow.
And I've replaced ceiling fans and things like that. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty good with carpentry work, and I've
That's
done
great.
tiling and hardwood and moldings and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But again, it's just if you have the right tools and you have YouTube, I
Hmm.
think you can do anything.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know it's great. Now that Logan learned how to do the outlets, I was in upstairs and I was like, "Do you think you can change this light?" And he's like the light above our bathroom sink. And I'm like,
yeah,
"If you could change the light switch, you should be able to change this."
it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Again, it always seems like it's intimidating, but again, you go on YouTube, you could find great videos to teach and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I made
yeah,
him go out and get one of those like laser wire testers to make sure
yeah. Oh
that
yeah,
the wires are off, but
yeah. No, absolutely. No, yeah, that's part of it. I remember a long time ago, I was working. Uh, Actually working, my brother and I were working for my father, and we were gutting a building, and we were taking out all the electrical, all the plumbing, anything, just taking it right down to the studs.
yeah.
And we thought the electrical was pretty much turned off in this building, but there was one wire that I guess came from an adjoining
Oh no.
building, and it wasn't off. And here I am trying to cut this conduit wire with these big cutters, and of course I had gloves on and stuff like that, and I'm cutting it, and it like zapped. I was on a
Really?
ladder that was probably like 10, I was like 10 feet off the ground. And
Wow.
I was like jumped off but I landed on my feet, thank God. And,
Wow.
and these scissors that I had were like, probably the size of I don't know, probably like the size of a little bit more, it was like the size of a cantaloupe. That's how big these scissors are. Well, there was like a golf ball hole in the middle of the
Wow.
scissors. That's how powerful
Wow.
electricity was. Yeah. So I stayed away from electricity
Wow.
for a while after that, but I think I'm okay now. So
I don't blame you.
yeah.
I'm staying away.
I've done some plumbing over the years, like not, I can replace a toilet. I've, replaced sinks and
Wow.
things like that. That's not too bad. But, I think like,
That's pretty good.
yeah, shower fixtures and things like that. It's not too bad, but yeah, it just, I know like, my brother-in-law does, some light construction and things like that. So if I need any real help, I'll call him up.
That's nice. At
Yeah,
least you have him for to ask questions to if Google,
absolutely.
YouTube doesn't
Absolutely.
do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, but owning a house is almost a full-time job, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun though.
I'm at the point where I want to live in a condo and not have any of those responsibilities anymore.
Yeah, I think you told me that like 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah,
It's all good. It's all good.
that's funny.
Well, Emma, that's all the time we have for today. I appreciate you coming on and talking
Absolutely.
about
Thank you.
valuation. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you. You as well.